Hey, everybody, welcome back to Real Talk with QHT. I'm your host, George Herrera, and today we're in a really cool studio in what part of Manhattan are we in?
Lower East Side.
Lower East Side Manhattan. And outside it's like 10 degrees, so we're freezing. But today I have my co-hosts, two co-hosts from the Queens home team and New York home teams. I have Abigail Herrera, who you might be familiar with.
Yay, that is I.
And we have a new co-host to the pod, Karma Gale.
Yay, Karma.
Karma's one of our team members who joined us maybe 2 years ago?
No, longer than that, right?
2 or 3?
April of 2023.
Okay.
Oh, that's it.
Almost 2
Oh my
years.
gosh, it feels like forever.
Yeah, so Karma's one of our top killer agents out there that works with a lot of buyers and specializes in Queens. But Karma's here to join us today and hopefully give you all some good information.
Welcome to the pod, Karma.
Thank you.
It's been a minute, too, since we had an episode. I think our last episode was maybe 2 months ago.
Oh my goodness. And
Yeah.
it's already the new year, so happy new year, everyone.
Yeah.
I'm just going to
You know what? The good thing is that the market hasn't changed that much from 2 months ago, so at least no drastic changes. So let's go through the agenda for today, just so
Yes.
you know a little bit about what we're gonna go through. So we're gonna be going over our mortgage rate update, which we always do, talking about mortgage rates and where things are trending.
Exciting. It's so exciting.
Always exciting. Mortgage rates. That's Karma's favorite part of the business.
The biggest topic of all the home buyers.
Every day he reports inside our team chat.
Yes.
Mortgage rates.
So now we're also going to give you something for homeowners. So any of you local New York City homeowners, we have something for you. We have something for home buyers. So all those New York City home buyers, we have something for you too. And then we have a question of the week as usual. We have two here. And Karma, Abby, if you can think of anything else, feel free to jump in there with any questions you've gotten recently. And then we have a resource of the month. We're going to share with you one of our favorite companies that we use in New York City. We used them a lot last year, and they're great. And then that's pretty much it. We'll give you something fun to, we always like to give you something fun to watch, listen to, read, etc.
Nice. Thank you, George.
All right.
All right, let's jump in.
Shall we jump in? So mortgage rates, Karma, please, where are we?
I think it's at 7.08.
Okay, so the average 30-year fixed rate mortgage right now is 7.08, so about 7.1%.
7.1%. It was actually down a little bit last before the holiday, so Friday, and
Okay.
then picked back up a little bit.
Okay.
Like 0.2.
And we're in January right now, 2025. So I'm about to put Karma on the spot and I'm gonna see how well he knows his mortgage rates. Where were we at this time last year, 2024? Any idea?
Last year, this time, it was around the 7.325. Yeah.
What? Oh, it was
Wow.
around like, you saw how he just shot
I'm
that out?
so impressed how he had that off.
Yeah, because
Oh, it was
memory.
in like the low sevens last year, or was it in the mid sixes?
it was around 7.25.
Wow.
7.35 as well.
Okay. So really, in a year from last year, the mortgage rate wise, not much has changed,
No.
right? Okay. So mortgage rates are still around 7%. At some point in 2024, they did get to the mid sixes. I think at the lowest we got was like 6.25, 6.5, and then they ended up shooting up towards the end of the year.
Yes.
So what did that mean for your buyers?
Definitely.
What does it mean now for your buyers?
I mean, for all the buyers, it's like everybody's thinking of long term. Definitely not the short term. So
Okay.
if the interest rate goes down, everybody knows that people who are waiting on the sideline will come back. So it will be definitely a hot market as well that time. So most of the buyers that I'm working with are thinking of it as a future long-term investment, not like a short play.
Also, they're really not, because you have two different kind of buyers. You have the buyers that say, "Oh my gosh, 7%, no," and they can't get 4.5 or 4% out of their head, so they say, "I'm just gonna wait." And then you have some because they think prices are gonna go down or something, and then you have the buyers that say, "I don't want to rent. I don't want to throw my money away. I want to own something. And
Yes.
that's like some of your people then.
Most of them, yep.
I mean, and that ties right into one of our topics as we move through the episode is where we're going to talk about owning versus renting, because that's the question there, right? Those people, they want to own.
Yep.
Okay.
What I find interesting before we move forward to the Treasury is that even where the mortgage rates are, in comparison to a few years ago, it's still quite busy.
Yeah.
We do a lot of business in Queens and Brooklyn. And as we're all seeing, the residential market is holding pretty strong still. So within the last month, 2 months, we've listed a handful of single-family, multifamily homes. And there's a lot of activity on those properties. And it's just interesting to see that even with a higher interest rate, there's definitely interest and demand there.
Yeah. Just for some
Multiple people.
Yeah, some quick context. Just for January, we listed a single-family house in East Elmhurst that has multiple offers and has an accepted offer. That was $875, I think, was asking price. One-bedroom co-op in Bayside, multiple offers. It was around $235 or something. Multiple offers, accepted offer. A two-family in Jamaica Hills that has multiple offers.
And we just listed that one.
Yeah.
And,
So it looks like, the buyers, there's still buyers out there for sure, right? Okay,
Even
perfect.
compared to the last year, this year, what I've seen so far is that open houses. Last week, I went to few open houses, like 3 open houses, including the one by Geraldine,
Yeah.
83rd Street.
Uh-huh.
Geraldine is our teammate.
Yes. Shout out
So-
Shout out to
to
G.
Gerger.
So including that, the open house, like it was jam packed.
Like 30 people or something, right?
Not sure about 30 people, but it was all packed on each level.
Wow.
So like that shows a lot of buyer activity, definitely.
And this time last year, at that same open house, would it have been the same turnout or more now?
There was people, but it was very less. It was not too competitive like
Yeah.
this year.
So that means that demand is on
Has
the up,
increased.
on the rise,
Yep.
which is crazy because mortgage rates are the same. Maybe it's because of the low inventory, or maybe it's because wages have been going up too. So I don't know if that's why.
Another reason is our beautiful new elected Trump.
Mm.
So everybody is very optimistic.
Oh, so a lot of the people you're working with, they're optimistic about, and that's interesting
And,
because that, that can play into your decision. Sometimes people buy or sell, or they go into the market or out of the market based on sentiment. And if they feel like things are going to get bad, they pull back. And if they feel like things are going to get good, they'll jump in. So that's very interesting. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Perfect. And Karma, so 10-year treasury, where are we with the 10-year treasury?
I believe it is at 4.566.
Okay. So 4.57. We were actually just around 4.8 or so recently. We were like shooting up, and everybody's talking about us going to 5%. I don't know about now. We started to come down, but we're around 4.57, so about 4.6%. And the 10-year treasury is what is usually correlated with the mortgage rates. So if you see the 10-year going up, usually that means the mortgage rates are going up.
The benchmark.
Right? The benchmark. So that has started to pull back a little bit. Hopefully we see it come down, but we don't know because the 10-year has been rising for a little while.
A lot.
Yeah. So let's see what happens there. All in all, mortgage rates are the same right now as they were 30 days ago and a year ago. Okay. Any other considerations, Karma, that you can give for potential home buyers, aspiring home buyers, in terms of mortgage rates or what they should be thinking about?
I think saving as much as possible.
Yeah.
The down payment plays a huge factor. Regardless of where the interest rate is, definitely the lower the mortgage is, the interest will make very less difference.
Okay.
First of all. Second, competing in the northwest or west, which is, shall I say the city name, or hopefully our audience knows.
Some towns, yeah, you can mention some towns.
Especially like Middle Village, Elmhurst, even East Elmhurst and Woodside,
Yeah.
and Massfed.
Okay.
Those ones, yeah, down payment plays a huge factor.
Okay. Oh, like even when you're negotiating.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if Karma, I was just one of your friends and I wanted to buy a property one day and I said, Karma, I want to buy one day, how much should I save? Like, how much of a down payment? What would you advise someone?
Question is where and what first.
Okay.
So, condo, co-op, or a house.
Okay.
And then if it's a neighborhood, like depending on, again, the same neighborhood that I told you, if we are working on that neighborhood, at least 20%. Otherwise, you'll be paying way over than the second person or the first person who has like a bigger down payment and lesser offer than ours. Let's say if I'm the agent.
So if someone is looking to buy a property in, let's say, Maspeth or Middle Village and told you, I have the 3.5% down, you would say you're better off saving the full 20 for certain neighborhoods because higher down payments are more common in certain neighborhoods.
Yes.
And if you come in with the lower,
We'll have to go higher offer.
yeah, and we tell people that all the time, right? If you have a lower down payment, it doesn't mean that you can't get it. It just means you have to make your offer more attractive, and if your down payment is lower, usually that means you just have to make a higher offer,
Yes.
right?
If you're
Okay.
trying to get that, win the bid.
Yeah. No, good tips from the buyer
Okay.
specialist. All right.
Nice. Okay.
Now, next is something for homeowners, and this was in our New York City homeowner newsletter that we send out every month. You get a lot of feedback from that, right,
Yes.
Abby? So we have a New York City homeowner newsletter that we send out. If you want to get added to us, just let us know. But we always share any kind of cool information or tools that we come across. This month, the newsletter included 3 new tools that I found on nyc.gov. So I'm always on nyc.gov, like looking at information, and I found these 3 new tools. Okay, one is the property information portal. So they have a new property information portal. You know how we have like Adam, and we use that. We get all the details on a property. So the property information portal, you put in your address or your block and lot. It gives you a ton of information on your property. So you can check that out. You probably just Google it, Property Information Portal NYC, or you can check the notes and I'll put a link there. The other tool is the Class 1 Property Tax Estimator. So this is perfect for those people who want to challenge their tax assessment.
Oh my goodness, we're getting a lot of those calls now.
Yeah, so they have a new tool called the Property Class 1, so that's going to be 1, 2, and 3 family. Class 1 Property Tax Estimator. And what you do there, you just pop in it gives you put in your block and lot or your address. It'll give you your notice of property value information on the left side. On the right side, you can put in your hypothetical market value of what you think it should be in case you think you're overassessed. And then it shows you what you would save. It shows you what your estimated new taxes would be. And maybe that can help you decide, is it worth it or not?
You mean worth it to do
To
what
challenge
exactly?
the
Do
assessment.
challenge.
Yeah. So that's a cool new tool that came out. And then third is a new Class 1.
Wait, before you move forward to the next tip. So
Yeah.
now I want to touch on this because we're actually getting, just last year alone, George put a video together on YouTube, how to challenge your property taxes. And last year, I was counting how many people reached out just in the first year after he put the videos, probably about 35 to 40 people that contacted us about that.
That's, yeah,
And guess what? We actually had, I think, 2 out of all those people
that one.
that actually had a potential case, went through with the process, and they were able to reduce their taxes.
So it's not
So-
impossible, rare,
Correct. It's rare,
not
but it's not
impossible.
impossible. And it's a very good detailed video. If you have questions, you're welcome to reach out about it. Because certainly it can be confusing.
Yeah, and you only have till March 15th. So now
that's a
it's a
good one.
small window. I'm sure
Yeah.
they do that by design. But it's January 1st to March 15th. You have to get your challenge in. You have to make sure that you have a good case. But there's a lot of other stuff that you could do too, which it'll be in the question of the week also. But this new tool is pretty cool because it gives you an idea of what the new taxes would be in case you did challenge. And then the third tool that I came across recently is called a Class 1 Comparable Sales Selection Tool.
Okay.
It's pretty much comps.
Oh.
So you go on there, put in your address, two family, whatever it is, and in a map, it shows you the recent sales.
Oh, wow.
Have you
How
guys
far
seen
back?
it?
Not yet.
No.
I think it's like 6 months or a year.
Wow, that's really
No,
good.
it's actually
Is it
pretty
on
cool.
point?
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
I
that's
did
really
it for
good.
our house, and right around, then you can see, boom, this one sold for this one sold for that. You can actually pull comps.
Wow.
That's one of the things that homeowners still, there's no website that gives you really good comps info, sold
Wow.
information. So
Amazing.
that one, if you're listening, you might want to check that out, especially if you're challenging your assessment. Obviously you can reach out to us and we can send you comps, but this is another way that you can pull your comps, print them, and then include them in your challenge.
Awesome. That's really good. Good
Yeah.
job, George.
Oh, so I guess you didn't read the newsletter then.
Not yet. I'm playing still catch up from the holidays.
No one on the team reads my newsletter.
No,
That's
they're really
the problem.
good. No, I definitely read it.
I don't want to
still
hear
accept-
it. Nobody reads it. Okay, so that's what I had for homeowners. Do y'all have anything for
Good job.
homeowners?
No, but
Anything
I
you can think of?
The tool, definitely it's helpful for the home buyers as well to see if they are overpaying or underpaying or at least the market value.
Oh yeah.
So definitely.
Oh
yeah,
yes,
yeah,
for
we can use that
buyers.
too.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. good
Yes.
point.
So now they'll have that tool. So yeah, take a look at that.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
So now and for we're in January now. Homeowners that are thinking of selling in a year or 2 years. Any advice for them as
Thinking
they prepare?
about selling within the next year to 2 years.
Yeah.
I would really say to get an idea of your value is one of the first things. Oftentimes I speak to homeowners that they don't know yet what they want to do. They don't know how to do it. They don't know where to begin. And it all starts with getting a valuation for your property. I also find oftentimes people call very nervous to call just to get information. But I mean, our team, this is something we like to do. We're also homeowners ourselves, and we'd like to give good information, and people will make decisions based off of that, right? So starting with a valuation will allow you to get an idea, what is my home worth right now? And then having an idea of what you'd pay in closing costs from that potential sale is also as equally important, because then let's say if you plan to sell, you are downsizing, you're moving out of state, you're buying, whatever the case may be, those two things are tied in together. What monies are you walking away with from the sale? So if you need to plan accordingly, let's say that you need to buy and you need higher down payment, or you need more return on your current property, then it's recommended it's if you have the ability to do some renovations. And then of course you'd want to see guidance, what makes sense to do renovations on in your property. So there's a lot of, I think that's going to be very helpful, because 2 years happens in a blink of an eye.
And
So-
that's a great point, because sometimes when you see the net profit, it's not as high as maybe you were thinking after all the closing costs and paying off your mortgage and everything. And if you want more, we tell people, okay, if you want to net more than that, we would have to sell for more. So here are some ideas. If you finish the basement, we could probably sell for 50,000 more. Or if you were to renovate the kitchen, or there are things you can do that will add value that could give you a good return on your investment. And you're right, if you're thinking of selling in a year or two, now is the time to tackle any little projects like that.
Yeah.
If you want to sell for a certain price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my biggest advice
Nice.
for any homeowners.
That's a good
And I
one.
think that applies the same for home buyers. If you're looking to buy your first property, let alone an investment, you want to plan ahead. You're not going to wait last minute. So you can plan
Yeah.
for yourself. Are you living with family? What are your circumstances? So it's good to begin to prepare what's needed.
Well, that's a great segue into our next section.
Which is
Home buyers. Something for
Oh.
home buyers.
Okay.
All right. So something for home buyers, I was just thinking that it's January, and something good to talk about that I'm sure people that are thinking of buying wonder to themselves. You have to think about this. Owning versus renting. Is it really better to own, or should I keep renting? What are the pros and cons? And I'll set it off by letting you know what Raf told me. I spoke to our buddy Raf at Cross Country Mortgage earlier today.
Shout out to Raf.
Yeah, shout out to Raf. And we were talking about this, and he said, well, it really all depends, because let's say, because I was telling him, isn't there a tipping point where like it just doesn't make sense to own, it makes more sense to rent? But he said it depends. Let's say if you're renting a 3-bedroom for 3,200 and you can buy a house, a 3-bedroom house, and your mortgage payment will be 4,200, so another 1,000, right? For him, if you're still able to afford it, he thinks that it's not as drastic of a increase in cost of living, that it makes sense to go ahead and own, because you get the triple whammy of the debt pay down, the equity build up, the tax benefits. All in all, long term, it makes a lot of sense, right? But now let's say he said, let's say someone is renting a 3-bedroom for 1,800. They got one of those apartments that, it's a low, really good deal, 3-bedroom. If you buy a house, it's going to be 4,200. Now you have to really think about, do you want to raise your cost of living by $3,000 or, whatever the case is. So it definitely depends. But what do y'all think? Owning versus renting in 2025?
What do you think, Karma?
2025, owning versus renting. Definitely, as Raf mentioned, there is a little bit of difference, but again, it's all about, is that going to be the lifestyle that you want to live? And for long term, always. It's like land, property, or anything real estate. That's
You can't go wrong.
you can't. I wouldn't say can't go wrong. But
Oh, yeah, you're right. It can go wrong in real estate.
It might,
Yeah.
but it's always definitely a future value holder. Always.
It's like the stock market chart. If you look at property values in the history of America, it's up and to the right, always. Yeah. So long-term values always go up, and if you continue renting, you're guaranteed that your net worth, it can go up if you're invested in other places in the stock market and stuff. But with real estate, it's like forced savings. So no matter what, your equity every year is going down.
Well, let's talk
Going
about
up,
the other side. I mean, of course, I'm a homeowner, and I think there's absolute 100% value in being a homeowner. At the same time, it comes with responsibilities,
That's
and
true.
that's what someone that does not own a property yet has to prepare for. I remember when we bought our first house, and I already felt like I was no longer a child.
Yeah, it makes you feel grown
It
up.
makes you feel grown, and then all of a sudden you're hit with, wow, I have this property I own, and now I'm responsible for everything, including things that cost a penny. So that's when you're counting every penny towards that property.
And everything's expensive with
Everything-
houses.
Everything.
Yeah.
But my point is that you have to be prepared for the responsibility, because it is your home, and you have to financially prepare not only for the mortgage payment, but upkeep of that property, right? Like taking care of a child as well. So if you have to paint, if you have a plumbing issue, electrical issue, you have to take care of the lawn, you have to take care of your backyard, all these kinds of things that require time and also money in many cases. So that's where you also have to weigh out the pro and con. Are you ready for that responsibility?
Yeah, I think you want to make sure you have good reserves, because these are old houses too. All the houses are built 1940s or earlier. So, it's very likely that you're going to have some issues here and there, and, you'll have more expenses after you buy.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Anything else for buyers that you can think of? Any new tools or any good information for potential home buyers?
Renting versus own topic? No, not that much.
Not really, right? Okay, it's all circumstantial, and if you wanted to talk about it or discuss it further, you can always reach out to us, and we have team members that would have no problem just having a conversation with you and seeing if it makes sense for you. Yeah. Okay, perfect. What do we got next?
All right, so now we have question of the week. How do I clear HPD violations for a Section 8 inspection?
Oh, yeah. So I got this
Enlighten us,
question.
George.
I got this question recently from one of our YouTube videos also, but a homeowner reached out and said he's renting and his tenant pays the rent using Section 8. The Section 8 part of the Section 8 program is that they do annual inspections, I believe. So they did the inspection, and then he got a letter, I guess, with HPD violations. One was for like a light bulb, one was for roaches, something like that. So like there's 2 violations that he got. And he said, how do I clear these things? I guess the letter wasn't clear on how you actually cure them. So then I looked it up for him, and there's actually a section on nyc.gov that is specifically for Section 8 inspections, how to cure violations on a Section 8 inspection. You can do it by mail, or you can actually do an e-certification to cure them. So you can do it online or by mail, but there's actually a section on nyc.gov where it walks you through it. It's step by step, but it's specifically for Section 8 inspections if you get a violation.
That is,
Yeah, I know. I had no idea. And then I was looking it up for him, and I found it. I sent it to him, and it tells you what to do there.
that's going to
Yeah.
become my favorite website too.
Yes. Good karma for me there, you know, just
Yeah, that's great. Nice.
helping a fellow homeowner out.
See, and that I love that because
Yeah.
we get calls all day long, all day, every day. We get calls all day long. And if there's some information we don't know about, but we have more knowledge in real estate and know kind of which direction to go to search for the answers, it also allows us to educate ourselves more as a real estate professional. And not only are we learning to help future people, but we're helping that person. And we're not expecting anything back in return. It's just a way for us to help our community.
Yeah.
And, it's beautiful.
Our new goal, I think, like a few years ago, was just to connect with more local homeowners, because it's not all about, selling your house. It's really, we just want to have a network of homeowners, and we're a resource at the end of the day. We sell houses constantly. We deal with clean outs. We deal with paint jobs. We deal with plumbing. We deal with electrical. So we have really good people. And so we get to share. The more homeowners we're connected with, the more resources we get to share with people. Right?
Thank you, George.
Yeah. All right. Awesome.
All right. Now,
I think we had another one. I wanted to include another one that I just got recently. I had 2 homeowners reach out at the beginning of the year who are being taxed as a different property. Actually, they were both the same. They were both 3-family homes, so they're legal 3 families, but they're being taxed as 4 families. And if you know the taxes for 4 families, it jumps from 1 to 3 family houses can be, what would you say, property taxes around 10,000, maybe a little over, maybe a little under.
Jackson Heights, I've seen somewhere in like 11 some change.
Yeah.
11.4. Middle Village, I've seen some around like 9 to 11,000.
Yeah,
Under
so
11,000.
like 8 to 12, somewhere around there, right? And so 4 family houses can be taxed at like 25,000 a year. So these 2 homeowners, for some reason, their tax class, they started being taxed as a 4 family. Their taxes were like 25,000 or something.
Commercial.
So obviously, yeah,
I wish
because
I had a cup of coffee so I could
yeah,
what?
and ruin this nice desk we have here.
Just for the dramatic effect.
Slow motion. So, tax class 2 is commercial. Your taxes, the assessment rate percentage, the rate is way higher. So they're getting taxed high. Of course, you want to change that.
Yes.
So
Right away.
they called me and said, "How do I change my tax class back?" So this is something different. It's actually called a request to update, or you can ask for an administrative review, but it's called a request to update, and the form has all these, pretty much if something is inaccurate, like my building class is wrong, my tax class is wrong, my square footage is wrong, my building size is wrong, my lot size is wrong, you can request for an update there. And so that's the form you want to fill out. I advise them anyway. I would do everything. So I would do a request for a review, request to update, administrative review. I would just send them all in and say, my tax class, this is a 3 family. I shouldn't be getting taxed as a tax class 2.
Wow.
So I sent them all the forms, and they're sending them in, but that's what you want to do. And, we can include it, the links in the notes, or you can reach out to us. But there's certain forms you have to fill out. You mail them in, or you can go in person, and you can file to have that updated.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do they find you, George?
QueensHomeTeam.com.
All right.
Yes,
There you go.
there you go.
There's that plug right there.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
So that's
Beautiful.
my other one.
So now we're going to move on to the tip or resource of the month. I'd like to give a shout to a new company formed right during or right after the pandemic. And this is a young group, young partners, young gentlemen who have started their own cleanout company. They used to work for a larger organization and they decided to branch off and do their own thing. I respect the hustle and I respect people that are professional and they do really great work and they offer competitive prices. So I definitely wanted to give these guys a shout out because we have referred them a handful of times and our clients were very happy. We've also used them personally a handful of times, and they really come through like in a short moment's notice when when we really need a client really needs them.
How did we find them?
Actually, they were used by a client of ours in Astoria, and I was like, oh, I met the guys, and it happened to be the two owners. The partners are Andrew and John. Those are the two owners and partners, and we just had a conversation because I just kind of liked their flow and how they were working, and it was cool. So we ended up kind of talking a bit and discovered a little bit about their story. And then for our team, we like to try people out. If our clients are happy, then I always like to try a company out because that certainly means a lot if someone's happy with service, right?
That's true.
So then we referred them a few times and our clients were happy and then we've used them personally and I think they're a great resource. The name of the company is Gutter Your Clutter Junk Removal. They service the boroughs. And Andrew and John are the partners. You're welcome to also mention QHT for a discount. They'll give you some pricing on that as well. And yeah, they're a great group and great company.
Yeah, if you mention Queen's Home Team or Abigail, they know Abby a lot. So Abigail Herrera or Queen's Home Team, you might get some favorable pricing, but they're reasonable no matter what, right?
Yeah, they're
Their
great.
pricing is pretty good.
Yeah, and
So-
they're slowly growing, so they're good.
And
I
they're
like them.
flexible.
Yeah.
We've had them like same day, next day, they're
The
pretty.
Brooklyn property?
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
The Brooklyn property.
They
Oh
helped
yes,
us.
that's right.
They helped us a couple times. Same day. We need this done today.
Yeah, our client was in a bind actually. This is right before a closing and she was nowhere, sometimes you don't realize how much stuff you have in your home until the very, very last minute because sometimes our mind is telling us one thing, but our body is telling us something else as you age. And so they really came through for a client of ours. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah. So shout out Gutter Your Clutter.
Yeah.
Great
awesome.
name.
Yeah. Shout out to Andrew and John
Gutter Your Clutter.
and their team. They have a great team.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Next, all right.
next, to wrap it up, we'd like to talk about kind of like some
Something fun.
entertainment.
Yeah. What do we have that's fun? Y'all want to go first or?
Well, we just watched a recent new show, Primeval.
Oh, American Primeval.
American Primeval.
Have
And
you seen it, Karma?
I don't like watching a lot of
TV
of
or what?
No, I
Because
don't.
you're
Oh
an
my
avid
God.
reader.
No, but
It's okay. It's better for you.
give us a synopsis. I mean, what is it? It's really good.
Where it's really back in the day when Americans were, well, not Americans, I should
Native
say. but,
Americans and
it's when people were basically creating a life in America, and this was a time when people were merging from different countries, and we had a Native American Indians who were the first in America, and they showed just really it's kind of brutal in there. So if you're not into that, don't watch it.
it is brutal. Yeah.
But they show all different experiences from families, single people, also wars and what happened between religious sectors.
Oh, Mormon.
And,
Yeah, it's Mormon groups are in there.
It's pretty brutal. So again, if you're not into
Yeah.
that, please don't watch it.
But it's about
there.
that expansion into the west of America, right?
Yes.
It's kind of that Deadwood, like the show Deadwood too. It's that time period, 1800s,
Yes,
I guess, right?
we like that history.
1800s, kind of when the West is just starting to get populated and they're claiming land and
It just brings you into the grit, and wow, makes you realize where we are today. Wow, the history of what it took to get here today is something else.
it always makes me think of that's why you need society and rules, because when you don't have that, and that's when the Wild Wild West, there is no society. They were just creating their own things, and it does get crazy. It's like humans can become animalistic if you don't have society and laws and rules. So that's a good one.
Okay, how about podcasts? Are you listening to any podcast or
anything
any
fun.
book?
Podcast that not the podcast, but YouTube from Diary of the CEO.
Oh, okay, yes, that's a
Oh.
good
Yeah,
one.
he has a lot of beautiful like contents.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's like all of them are great. So
He has good interviews.
What's your favorite? What's one of your favorite interviews?
one of my favorite, I think the gestures,
Oh, the body
postures,
language
the
one.
body language, yeah,
Yeah.
that one is the best. But yeah, like other than that, everybody has like great ideas, has their own inputs depending on what their field is. Doctors, the CEO, the artist, yeah, everybody has their own style, own idea, own philosophy.
Yeah.
And those are all CEOs.
Those are all CEOs, or at least at their hype of whatever they are.
Just,
Wow.
yeah.
At their
Very
peak.
successful in their field of
Yeah.
expertise.
Yeah.
But he's a CEO, the host.
Yes.
So, Diary of a CEO, him interviewing people.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But I'm not surprised because Karma is a CEO. You know, he's like a serial entrepreneur. So, you know,
Oh, by the
naturally.
way, can we give a shout out for your restaurant?
Sure.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Please.
What's
give
the
your
name
shout
of
out.
it?
Castamando.
Okay.
Okay, where's the location?
It's in Roosevelt, 64th Street and Roosevelt Avenue.
In Queens, right?
In
Cas-
And
Queens.
Castamanda.
what type of food do you serve there?
Himalayan Nepali.
Himalayan Nepali?
Yep.
Okay. Well, we know the food's good, everyone, because we've eaten there. We brought our families too.
How do you spell that?
Kastamanda.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Castamanda. Now, I'm going to hook y'all up real quick. Karma, for any listener that rolls up in there,
Not any. It has to be any?
no,
Or just-
any listener that rolls up in Castamanda because they heard
podcast?
the podcast, can they say something, get a little, a free dessert? Can they get a free, iced tea, a
do like a-
discount?
Do you want to do like a quiz or something first then?
A
For
quiz?
that? Yeah. Or trivia or something.
Okay,
Okay, something simple, because then we know they
Just
listen to the podcast.
reach out
Yes.
to us.
Okay, so
Just reach out to us, and then we'll reach out to us, queenshometeam.com. And if you reach out to us about Castamanda, we're going to hook you up. We're going to do a little something.
Yes.
yes.
All right.
Oh, nice.
All right,
Ooh,
cool.
he said okay. You heard?
All right.
Hey, it doesn't have to be much. A free appetizer, right?
Yep.
By the way, they have very spicy food too there,
Yeah, super good, though.
and
super
great
good.
reviews. Yes.
Okay, so I guess I'll go last. My something fun that I have is I recently heard an interview with the RZA
That's
from Wu-Tang
So good.
on
Wow.
it's Rick Rubin's podcast called Tetragrammaton.
Say that
I don't
again.
even know what that means, but the podcast is good. It's like 2.5 hours with the RZA, and he's so smart, and the dude is just like a genius. He does a lot. He's a film producer, music producer, a
Musician.
writer, a musician, a composer, leader of the Wu-Tang. So it's a really entertaining episode. He breaks out into verses constantly.
Yes.
Like he has all these verses memorized and just starts reciting verses,
My goodness.
even to make his point, which is like crazy, So it's very interesting if you're a Wu-Tang fan or just into, philosophy and all that kind of stuff. I mean, they talk about all kind of stuff in there.
I was telling George and I were talking about it too, because he was also reciting some of the verses from specific songs and some albums, and I'm like, wow, that hits different now that I'm older.
Yeah,
Some of their messaging, it really hits different.
that's true.
But you would have to listen to it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree with you. I really enjoyed that. He's
That was
very
nice.
smart. And it's cool to hear a CEO as well on the rise, and the history and the story of himself, his group, and where he is today. That was cool.
and me and him have the same birthday, so
Oh, we discovered that too. So you're
hey.
your
Yeah.
brethren.
my fellow, what would you call that?
Oh, you're,
what does it mean if you have the
uh,
same birthday? Cancer?
No, I think you're called an Irish twin, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I think that's if you have a sibling that's within a year.
Oh, okay, never
Born.
mind. I'll take that back then.
My Wu-Tang twin there.
Yeah.
All right. All right.
All right,
Awesome. You want to
cool.
sign us off? Let's.
Well, everyone,
Everyone.
2025. Of course, we wish the world peace, love, good energies, a much safer place and environment for where you live, for your loved ones. Please make the world a better place. Please spread positivity and good information out there. We always wish everyone growth and success in life and all things that you decide to do for yourselves. With all the craziness that's happening in the world today, you know, one person can make it count just by even spreading a smile to someone. Aside from that, you know, if there's something that our team can help you with, naturally we're a real estate team. But we also do a lot of other things too, and we like to give good information for people that connect with us. So please feel free to reach out. But we do wish everyone an excellent 2025 with all greatness in all things.
Yes.
Thank you for listening.
I agree. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Stay tuned for the next episode, hopefully soon.
Yes.
And have a great one, y'all.
Peace, y'all.
Take care.